Welcome to this edition of the Jersey Baseball Show. It's Mike Olshin. I am here joined by Eli Fishman. Eli, one of the very talented young media members that were fortunate enough to come across during this past ACBL season. Eli is a freshman at Ithaca College, where he's coming to us live from much colder than here, New York. Yankees minor league writer and covers for a variety of sites, most notably Pinstripe Prospects and Prospects 1500, and does an outstanding job, did a great job for the Jersey Pilots until the Trenton General sent them home last summer. So welcome, Eli, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Ulf. Excited to get into it.
Absolutely. One of the really cool things that, the ACBL is, for me, is not just a way to see, young players kind of make their growth to the next level, whether it's getting better in college or eventually getting drafted and hopefully making it to the majors and joining that list, but also guys off the field. And we had John Colavita, who's same year as you, but at Penn State, actually a year ahead of you at Penn State. He's a sophomore now. Everybody's getting old. But you as well, to see your progression and kind of doing more and more through the year was great to see. So tell us about what you do now that the on your side hustle in your non-student hours, because you've become pretty well known for your Yankees minor league reporting.
Yeah, it's slowed down a lot now that I'm in school and also not at games. That was the big part of it, being able to actually see the players. So it's slowed down a lot, but here I'm doing quite a lot. I'm a producer for a TV show. I'm the sports anchor on a different TV show. I do pre, post, and half for the football games here. Did a piece for the Ithacan, our award-winning student newspaper. Have a hour radio show on the weekend. So I'm still getting a lot done here in terms of the campus media. But through the whole, summer, this is when it really, really exploded, because the Somerset Patriots have been going to their games for years and years. They were always independent. And now, obviously, becoming the Yankees, a lot of eyes were on them. And, because of that, so many eyes were turned to, my videos and my articles and my tweets about these players. So that's really been, I guess, my claim to fame this year was, being able to see the Louis Seals and the rehabbing Luke Voits and Clark Schmitz and all these guys, and get to go down to Florida too and see Jason Dominguez and Anthony Volpe and all those guys.
Yep. Now, so this is something that, not knowing what the Somerset Patriots were going to do in 2021, but this was something that you've been preparing for kind of for a long time, right? You started, and I've seen videos of you very young, doing interviews with college athletes, players. Tell us about how you got started in all this, because it's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I tried to delete a lot of the really, really old ones because they're so cringy. They're just so bad.
Keep a couple of them when you're famous.
A couple of them. I'm sure you could still find if you really did some digging. But I really always, and by always I mean probably 9 years old, 10 years old, knew that I wanted to go into this field, and sports media, and specifically broadcasting, reporting, all this. So the story really starts as, a 10, 11-year-old. I live about a quarter mile from Seton Hall University. And as you know, Rob Shepard and that program there, they do a hell of a job. They're a darn good mid-major program in the Big East. Put together a great team every year, great athletic department. And what I pretty much did, I guess, I don't know how exactly it started, but I would just go to games and I would sit behind home plate with a little camcorder and a notepad, and I would, film the games and take notes on guys and, write up my own little articles and scouting reports just for fun. And then I would go interview players after the game. And then I made my own Google website, which is like this free, Google template, which is just a horrible service. It's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like a little page, like a little Facebook page as a Google site. So what I would do is then I used my phone, and I would broadcast games into my phone and then post them on that website, like just sitting there, me and my phone behind the plate. And I did that for a while, continued interviews, tried to post a lot of interviews on YouTube and made my own, little like package stories, like I was a real reporter for the news. So that's really how I got started.
So 11-year-old Eli and 48-year-old Ulster pretty much doing the same thing, is what we're saying. I got my phone here. This is my my recorder. It's good because that's, people like that, and it was also, I'm sure, great practice for you, and something that developed over time. And how did you get into from there, from covering Shep and covering Seton Hall and being your own media crew to this Yankees gig?
I pretty much just progressed through the levels, in the equivalence of like a player. First it was college, and then some of the college summer ball in the ACBL, and then actually when I was 12 years old is when I got my first press pass for the Staten Island Yankees, which was the first pro team. Yeah. And then that same year I got it for the Patriots. So I went college, indie ball, rookie ball, low A, and then just worked my way up, I guess, through the minor league system. And this year was really when it started with like legit reporting, in terms of sources and in terms of publishing real profiles and articles and all that stuff. I did a lot of that last year too with the Patriots. They played a 16-game independent season just amongst themselves during COVID. So I did a lot of that last year too, but no names as big as those that were there this year. So I really just did a lot of interviews with my camera. I would just go and sometimes I interviewed over 100 guys each season, a few a day, sit down for 5 minutes, sometimes more, talk to the guy, post it on YouTube, and that was that for a few years until the last year or so.
Just so you know, you'll continue, if you really want to follow my path, you'll continue all the way up the ladder. You get up to the majors, and then 20 years later, you'll start it over again with your whatever generation iPhone that'll be, iPhone 30 or whatever. So that's what you got to look forward to, just so you know. The Florida trips, right? I mean, tell us, this year you got to do it in the summer. I think it was like a couple weeks, if I remember. Covering, really reporting on 2-3 games a day. I mean, that's A, was it tiring or invigorating for you? Which one? And B, is it did that just kind of reinforce this is really what I want to do?
It completely reinforced it. And my parents kept asking me, how are you not, or everyone kept asking me, how are you not tired of this? I just couldn't. It's the most. Going and watching these players on the backfield, these professional elite athletes on kind of just like a little Moody Park, just a little field.
Yeah.
It's the most thrilling experience in the world, and I absolutely love it. And the whole story of it is I've been doing these trips for years. My grandma lives in Clearwater, and the Phillies are in their headquarters is in Clearwater. The Blue Jays is about 10 minutes away from her, and the Yankees are about 20 minutes from her. So, I have these 3 teams right there. And so how it works is there's the rookie league team, which plays at the team minor league headquarters, their minor league complex, and it's all, rookies. It's predominantly international players and Central American guys getting their first taste of professional baseball. As I said, some draft guys, a lot of young players. There's very few guys in the league under or over 20 years old. And then, so they play at one stadium on the little side field. And then at the bigger stadium where the team plays their spring training games in spring, is low A. So it's, a legit affiliate and it's a legit minor league baseball team. But the complexes, the side fields it's just a field with guys playing, and they're there from 7 a.m. starting to work out. They work out from 7 to 11, have an hour break, and then at noon they play a game. Yep. So it's a grind, and it's just so much fun to watch there's so many stars. I only started a couple years ago, so the guys haven't necessarily worked all the way up yet. Some stars who we're going to see in the big leagues very soon, but it's amazing just to see these guys so young and so up and close. The backstop is literally 10 feet away from where the catcher stands, and you're right there, and it's so open, so the players are just walking around like there's not even stands. It's just the way in the ACBL, the players just walk off the field and into the parking lot.
Yeah.
That's how it is there. So that's a lot of fun, and there's usually 1 or 2 games per day in the morning, or starting at noon for the rookie league, and then at night there's at least 1 game for the minor league affiliate. So that's what I did, at least 2 games every single day, and there were a few days where I did 3 games, either in 3 different ballparks, 3 different locations, or a double header and a single header. And one day I was actually fortunate enough to see 2 double headers, so 4 total games. And let's see, so 4 sevens is 28 innings of baseball in one day.
You're struggling on the 4 sevens is why you're a journalism media guy, not a manager, right?
Yes.
But yeah, that's like an ACBL day for us over in Trenton. We get the gens and caps both.
Yes. Yes.
But you find you just don't get tired when
Not at all.
doing what
Never.
you feel passionate about, right?
Never.
That just gets you more and more energized, I would think.
I couldn't get tired.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. The only problem is the sun. I'm very sensitive to the sun, so I got burned up very easily, and the sun made me a little bit tired, but not the baseball.
Yeah. So give us a good story, developmental league story, somebody who's maybe progressed up the ladder that we might know a little bit more, or even not, just something, that was a great story that you get there where you get that kind of crazy access with the guys.
Oh, there's so many. The stories are really just seeing them behind the scenes in terms of the working out.
Yeah.
Right. And just, the way a college program goes about their business in terms of, lifts and the morning batting cage sessions, and what exactly they're doing with the machines, where they're placing the machines, what the velocity is at, the drills that they're doing. That's really the coolest part, and being able to watch an entire organization. Also, I went down for spring training a couple of times, which is where the whole organization is there. So every player, this is probably where the coolest stuff I've experienced is at spring training. Watching Trey Ambergy and Chris Gittens hit together in a batting cage, and Jake Cave, who's now with the Twins, was there, and Clint Frazier, just being able to watch him hit in the cage. I last year I got to see Aaron Judge from about 10 feet away do his entire cage progression, his pre-game cage work. All right, this is probably the good story to tell. 15 minutes. It was about half an hour before the game, and he just walks up to the cage, turns on some music, and hits off a tee for 5 minutes. He progresses from right field to left field. So he starts nice and easy, opposite field, works his way across, then changes the tee up a little bit, then tries to crush the ball as hard as he can to the back right side of the net. And then he does front toss and then overhand, and then brings in the machine, coming in, pumping about 100 miles per hour, and just line drives to the back net, top right, every single time off of 100 miles per hour. And then they bring in two machines. One is the 100 mile per hour, and then one is just an absolutely filthy big league curveball. And the coach just puts it in one or the other, and every time just smacking the ball. And it's just those type of things that are so cool to see at an up close and personal level. How many people in the world can say they saw that out of one of the greatest baseball players in the world? And that up close and personal, like cage, that behind the scenes experience. I saw Aaron Hicks hit in the cage once. I saw DJ LeMahieu play on the backfields. CC, saw him pitch in a backfield game. Higgy, all these guys. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's mainly just seeing their personalities too. There's as I said, there's so much about their personalities and how they operate, how they go about their business that people really can't see, when you watch on TV and on social media and all that. So just being able to witness that and hear, I was one of my best favorite moments was I was at a CC Sabathia press conference, and I was lucky enough to sit on that and ask a couple of questions to CC, and just hearing the way the media asked their questions and how the way he handled his business, and it's all just, there's just been some insanely fun experiences.
Absolutely. No, it's here with Eli Fishman, who was an intern with the Jersey Pilots last summer in the ACBL. Certainly you had to ask me who was closest to the majors of anybody in the league this year. I think you're getting my vote. Certainly doing great things covering the Yankees minor league. So a couple of Yankees questions, right? Minor league questions, because apparently we have a couple of Yankees fans that tune in every once in a while. So give us some insight, now that you've gone through the year. Give us a couple of guys. Everybody knows, Jason Dominguez. Everybody knows Anthony Volpe. We might get to them later too. But give us 2 or 3 guys that don't get that hype, that you really feel good about, their spot in the organization and them kind of moving forward.
The first guy I'll go with is a Jersey guy, Ron Maranachio. He pitched at Udall and I think Tom's River North.
Mm-hmm.
He was absolutely dominant this season. The relief pitchers, guys that come in one or two innings, they don't get a lot of recognition, but he ramped it up, added a few miles per hour, so he's in the upper 90s with a wipeout slider. He's really impressive. He's Rule 5 eligible, so it might not be with the Yankees, but he's going to be a dude in the big leagues somewhere. Anthony Garcia is the other guy who I absolutely love to talk about. I saw him in rookie ball this year. He's in low A now. He is about 6'6", 6'7", I'd say about 250. He is ginormous. He's a switch hitter, and he has, on the 20-80 scale, I give him an 80 for power. He has the single most power, up there with, Chris Gittens. I always talk about Chris Gittens. He has, unfortunately, Yankee fans didn't get to see in the big leagues, but the power that dude has is just out of this world, how far he can hit a baseball. Yeah. But same thing with Garcia, just hits it's so hard to put into words, just the sound of it literally sounds like a bomb goes off.
Yep,
when the ball hits like a cannon when the ball hits the bat, and just the exit velo and your jaw drops when you see this guy get a hold of one. The only problem with him is he strikes out a lot. He's one of those guys. He's either going to hit the ball 550 feet or he's going to strike out. So, there's some straightening up to do with that, but he's going to be something special if he can get it straightened out. Another guy is Antonio Gomez. I talk about him on Twitter all the time. I like to think I've started the Antonio Gomez train. I think I have.
Yeah.
Because of how much I tweet about him, but he's really impressive, and he's the catcher of the future for the Yankees. He's 19 years old, and he reminds me of JT Realmuto. Primarily a defensive catcher. He doesn't have a home run swing, but he's going to hit 275. Put the ball in play. He's an athlete back there. He has a cannon for an arm. He moves like a shortstop or a third baseman. He just moves really well back there, and he's really, really impressive.
You talk about the sound that it makes. That brings me back to, when it was my years up with the Phillies was Ryan Howard's prime years, and it just sounds different. It just, even from other major leaguers, it just sounded different, and you see balls that they hit in batting practice or they hit in the games, and it's just like, how does a human being do that?
It doesn't seem real.
No.
Garcia, it doesn't seem real the way the ball travels. It just breaks all the physics.
No, it's not a human. It's not something that a human should be able to do.
Yeah.
Your role models. It's obviously you get into, there's to be at the point where you are to kind of get into it at a young age. You probably had people that you saw and you're like, yeah, I want to be that guy. Who?
There's so many. Ken Rosenthal was a big one growing up.
You're already bigger.
Just
Bigger than
not by that much. He, just seeing him on TV, he's always the one there after the big moment, doing the interview, and the amount of stories he's broken. He's the go-to guy, and just all the broadcasters, really, especially throughout the minor leagues. Growing up, these minor league games were the big leagues for me, right? And seeing these guys all throughout the minors, and a Jersey guy who was in the ACBL, John Vitas, and Nick Flamia has always been someone who I've loved, who's been a role model. He's with the Tampa Yankees affiliate, and Mark Schwartz and Justin Antwell were the Somerset Patriots guys. And I truly looked up to them, and still do, just because of the way that they go about their business every single day. As I said, it may be the minor leagues, but it's the big leagues for all of us. Everyone who's involved in that operation, it's the big leagues. And obviously, the Michael Kays, listen to John Sterling all the time growing up as a Yankee fan. As I said, my grandma lives in Clearwater, so I'm there a lot, and I'm a pretty big Rays fan as well. So Andy Fried and Dave Willis, Neil
Andy
Solondz is a Jersey guy as well.
Time in Trenton. Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough, I actually shadowed Neil Solondz at a Rays game, and was able to sit in the booth with them and meet all of them, and they talked to them, and all of them gave me some amazing advice. So those three guys in that Rays radio broadcast booth always are pop in my head as role models, just because of me being able to sit in that broadcast booth with them and see them go about their business. So those are a few guys. Obviously Vince Scully, I'm so blessed that I was able to catch the last few years of his career. No one like him.
No, it's as close now as Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
And he had a playing career before that. Just crazy that he's still going. It's still Mr. Belvedere is still, and Harry Doyle is still doing his thing. It's awesome, and doing it well for upper 80s.
It's very well.
Yeah. So Yankees farm system, it does. Obviously the two guys who get the most hype, and deservedly so, Jason Dominguez and Anthony Volpe for their potential and what they did this year. What can you give us on those two that may be a little hidden surprise for our listeners, our watchers here?
I'll start with Volpe because he's a Jersey guy, obviously.
Yep.
Del Barton, he's an insane athlete. He's gonna be a star shortstop in the big, or maybe a second baseman in the big leagues for someone, and at some point soon. The tools and just the defensive tools and the hit tool just pop out like crazy. Especially the most impressive thing is the ability for him to square up a baseball and hit it far for, I think he's got to be 5'10", 190, somewhere around there. He looks like a 16-year-old. He looks like a child. And for someone so small, he hit, I think 26 is what he finished with home runs in the minor leagues. It's just insane.
Yeah,
just insane for any. He was, I believe, second in the organization in home runs. For his size, for a contact and age, for a contact hitter is just absurd. His swing, he just uses his lower body so much, and he just swings. His bat speed is so good, and he uses his lower body so much, even though he's not that big, that the ball just flies off of his bat. The ball just flies off his bat, and defensively, he's a wizard, is how I've described him. Just the ability to make the improbable plays. And, I obviously get asked to compare him to people a lot. And Jose Altuve is one guy that pops up, but Derek Jeter, you just see it in him. Volpe has the it factor. As a minor league guy, that's what you look for. There's someone who has it. and it's something you really never come across in the minor leagues. It feels like there's very, very few people that I've seen who have it in the minors, especially at 20 years old.
Yeah.
And Volpe has it. Volpe has it. He is an insanely special player, and it's just so cool to see how far he's come in the last year, especially the progress he made from his rookie year in 2019 in the Appalachian League to this year is just insane in terms of offense, defense, speed. He has one of the highest baseball IQs of anyone I've ever met too. He's just a smart kid.
Yep.
And then to Dominguez, he's one of those guys where I would, in a sense, call him the opposite from Volpe, where Volpe has developed his tools himself, right? And has developed as a player to the point that he is today, where Jason Dominguez is just naturally gifted. Naturally, the ball just sounds different off of his bat. And for him, what you really don't realize until you see him in person is the size. He's an NFL running back in terms of his size. His width, he's insanely muscular. He doesn't look like a baseball player, and he's there. I actually talked with a scout about this, where it is worrisome. I don't know if Yankee fans want to hear that, but it is worrisome how big he is, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you have the power that he has. But he's ginormous. He's fast. He's 18 years old. I feel like that definitely doesn't click in people's heads when you talk about an MLB prospect, 18 years old. Yeah. And he hit 260 in low A, where the average age is 22 years old.
Right.
It's so that aspect, the age and how much maturing he has left to do is just insane. And the ball just sounds different off of his bat. He's another one of those guys. When he squares it up, the ball just flies. The ball just flies. And he has one home run that I saw in person was just no effort, a loopy outside part of the plate, just threw his hands at the ball, 100 miles per hour exit velo, and he pulled it. He pulled it down the right field line, outside part of the plate, throwing his hands at it. And that shows you how much power and potential he has, because the tools are there. The tools are there. It's just the developing, mentally and in terms of agility, but the tools are there. He's a dude.
Yeah, it's a crazy time. The Yankees, as much as everybody likes to think teams can just go out and buy players, you're not good unless you get guys like that through your own system, because you need them coming up with that core and that Yankee belief, and you just need guys that, those are guys with $100 million talent that you get for those 6-7 years before they start making those $100 million salaries.
Absolutely.
But time has gone fast as figured. I appreciate the time on the show this week. I think we're going to have to do this again soon, and maybe more of a regular Yankees oriented segment, if that's something you're up for.
Absolutely, I'm in.
Excellent. I appreciate Eli Fishman. Like I said, ACBL intern, but we know far beyond that. Expect him to do big things in the future. Expect to see him on some probably MSG or some channel that some Yankees related something or other. But always a pleasure, and awesome to see how great you're doing.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.